Check, check. All right. Can you see the slide, everyone?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Agi.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for
Good
the
afternoon,
chance.
Agi.
All right. So, thank you for the chance given to us as the last group of this business English material. In this time, in this precious time, we are going to present the material about business presentation. But before that, I will introduce you our group. The first is me, myself, Niputu Anggi Natalia Sugita, and my partner is Prawoto Satrio Durake. So, in this time, we are going to deliver you several contents of our topic. It will be about rhetorical situation, strategies for success of delivering business presentation, and the third is the 9 cognate strategies. The fourth is purpose and central idea statements, and then the fifth is about research, and the next is about organizational models for presentation, and the seventh is about outline, and the last is about transition. So let's get started to the first topic of the material, which is about rhetorical situation. So, as you can see on the slide, it is a picture of someone speaking in public place, where the situation where someone is speaking in public place is called rhetorical situation. And this is the explanation of it. All right. In the classical tradition, the art of public speaking is called rhetoric. The circumstances in which someone gives their speech or presentation named in the public, it is called rhetorical situation. The audience gives the someone space and time as a speaker to fulfill the role, and also their expectation, fulfill the audience expectation of what the speakers is going to deliver. And then just as a group makes a leader, an audience makes a speaker. That is what you all say. And then the rhetorical situation involves 3 elements. The first is the set of expectation inherent in the context, and then audience, and also the purpose of our presentation, as what stated by Kostelnik and Roberts 1998. This means that we need to consider, in a sense, the who, what, where, when, why, and also how of our speech from the audience's perspective. Okay, this is the chart of how rhetorical situation is imagined. So your presentation or the speaker's presentation, aka rhetorical situation, is depending on the 3 elements I explained before. The first is context. It is about what is the speaker content delivered in the presentation. And then the second is audience, to fulfill the expectation of what audience wanted to hear from the speaker. And then the third is about the purpose of what is the aim of the speaker's presentation towards the audience. Okay, this is the more specific explanation about the 3 elements of rhetorical situation according to Kostelnik and Roberts 1998. All right, the first is context, about context. Wait a minute, I'm going to accept our friend. And the second is audience. And the third is And the third is purpose. So, talking about context, the presentation is given a space that has connection to the rest of the world. It means that it is related to the content of what is the speaker delivered towards their presentation. In this case, is business presentation. And the second is about audience. So audience is the basic component of communication that has a wide range of characteristics like social class, gender, age, race, and ethnicity, cultural background, and also language. So various kinds of audience need to be pay attention of the speakers, so the speakers can fulfill what expectations are there in the audience, so the speakers can make them understand the presentation of the speakers delivered. And the third is purpose. As what I mentioned before, a presentation is designed to inform, demonstrate, persuade, motivate, or even entertain the audience. So the purpose of our speech here is the central to its formation. And the second is about strategies for success in delivering the business presentation. Given the diverse nature of audiences, the complexity of the communication process, and the countless options and choices to make when preparing your presentation, you may feel overwhelmed. That is why one effective way to address this is to focus on ways to reach, interact, or stimulate your audience. Charles Kostelnik and David Roberts outline several cognitive strategies or ways of forming and framing, expressing, and representing a message to an audience in designing visual language. Then, the strategies help the speaker to answer the question of, does the audience understand how I am arranging my information? Am I emphasizing my key points effectively? And also, how does my expression and representation of information contribute to a relationship with the audience? Okay, this is the summary of the 9 cognitive strategies in relation with Aristotle's form of rhetorical proof. It also provides areas on which to focus our attention as we design our message. So, can you see the table on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So, there, Aristotle divide the cognitive strategies into 3 patterns. It is related with pathos, logos, and also ethos, which has its own focus. Okay. Many of these strategies build on the basic ideas of communication, such as verbal and also non-verbal delivery of communication. So by keeping that in mind, the speaker will be more likely to see the connections and help them to organize their presentation effectively. So this is the more specific or the detailed information about the 9 cognitive strategies in delivering the presentation or business presentation. So this is based on the book of Designing Visual Language, Strategies for Professional Communicators, based on Kostelnik and Roberts 1998, I mean. So there are 9 things that need to be considered by the speaker in order to deliver the presentation in front of the audience. The first is tone, and then emphasis, and then engagement, and the fourth one is clarity, and then it is conciseness, arrangement, credibility, expectation, and also the last is about reference. Let's get started to discuss it one by one. The first one is about tone. Our choice of words, our clothing, our voice, body language, and the rhythm and also cadence of our speech, the use of space, these all are related to the terms of tone. The speakers need these all contribute to the tone of the presentations. So the context or content the speaker is going to say delivered normally to the audience. And then the second is about emphasis. Emphasis as a cognitive strategy asks you or the speaker to consider the relevance and the degree to which our focal point of attention contributes to or detracts from our speech. And the third is about engagement. I'm sure you all already familiar with these terms where as a good speaker we need to pay attention to this part, engagement. This about the relationship the speaker forms with the audience. Engagement strategies can include eye contact, movement within our space, audience participation, use of image, and even the words we choose. So, in delivering the presentation or business presentation, a good speakers need to engage well the audience so the audience are fulfilled their expectations by the speaker. And then the next is about the clarity. Okay. Clarity is strategies that help the receiver or the audience in this case to decode the message, to understand it quickly and also completely. Our word choices and visual elements should be chosen carefully and used together appropriately to ensure you are conveying the right meaning. So, this is the important part that need to be considered by the speaker. And as you can see, this is the example of the presentation that is delivered by, wait a minute. This is the picture of a presentation slide that contains too much information. Thus, the audience might be confused or not attracted to the speaker's content of presentations. That is why clarity and also engagement and also the various elements that I explained need to be considered by the speakers. And then the fifth one is about conciseness. Being concise is the part of being clear, and it is referred to being brief and direct in the visual and also verbal delivery of our message and avoiding unnecessary intricacy. So it involves of using as many words as necessary to get our message across and no more. So this strategies is related to be of being effective and also efficient. So no much talk during presentation or too much content that is unrelated to our content. So being concise is needed or important to be done by the speaker in presenting their material or content. And the sixth strategy is arrangement. This is related to the organization of visual and also verbal elements. This is also related to grouping information based on the order and also make the audience correctly interpret the structure, hierarchy, and relationships among points of focus of the presentations. How the speaker arrange the content or the material that is she or he delivered is important as the strategies of the community of how presenting certain things. And the 7 is about credibility. Credibility involves the speaker's qualities, capabilities, or power to elicit from the audience belief in the speaker's character. And credibility also considered to persuasive strategies that will appeal to the audience of presentation, build trust, and convey the understanding of the rhetorical situation. So the credibility of the speaker is important to make the audience get attached of how the speakers is saying their presentation. And the next is about expectation. What comes to your mind when we are talking about expectation between audience and also the speakers in presenting something? This is related to the audience that have the inherent expectation of themselves and of the speaker. It is depending on the rhetorical situation. Yeah, expectations involve the often unstated, eager anticipation of the norms, roles, and the outcomes of the speakers and also the speech. So as what I mentioned before, the good speaker needs to fulfill the expectations of the audience. And the 9th and the last is reference. This strategy involves attention to the sort and way the speaker presents the information. The audience won't expect the speaker to personally gather statistics and or even publish a study at that time, but they will expect the speaker to state where she or he got the related information that they delivered to the audience. Okay, the next is about purpose and central idea statements. So, speeches have traditionally been seen to have one of 3 broad purposes. The first is to inform, the second one is to persuade, and different words are used for a third kind of speech purpose, to inspire, to amuse, to please, or even to entertain. These broad goals are commonly known as a speech general purpose, since, in general, the speaker is trying to inform, persuade, or entertain the audience. So, the reviews is about the general purpose of presenting something or speaking, and the specific purpose statement builds on the speaker's general purpose to inform and makes it more specific, as the name of it suggests. So, if the speaker's first speech is an informative speech, the general purpose will be to inform the audience about a very specific realm of knowledge. This is the charts of it. So, you means the speaker. You want one day yourself as the speaker or presenting something that can be also related to the business. And then the next is your audience and also your context of presentation. So these 3 elements is related to the specific purpose statement, and also the specific purpose statements of your content need to have a central idea statement. Okay, this is what we are going to consider, what we need to consider in presenting something. So during your speech, you will need to clearly state what your focus and main points will be. The statement that reveals your main points is commonly known as the central idea statements. The central idea statements helps you focus of your presentation by defining your topic, purpose, direction, angle, or point of view. So let me give you a little bit examples of how central idea and also purpose statement mean each other. So For instance, the specific purpose of you is to explain to my classmates the effects of losing a pet on the elderly. So the central idea of this statement will be when elderly persons lose their animal companions, they can experience serious psychological, emotional, and also physical effects. Second example, the specific purpose is to demonstrate to my audience the correct method of cleaning a computer keyboard. So the central idea of this statement or topic or content will be your computer keyboard needs regular cleaning to function well, and you can achieve that in 4 easy steps, something like that. So I think that is all the material that I can give to you. For the next topic will be delivered by my partner. So for Prawoto Satrio, the time is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anggi. So now I would like to present the first about research. Research is the foundational way to offer support for the points you make in your speech is by providing evidence from other sources, which you will find by doing research. And then there are the sources. The first is primary sources and then secondary sources. Next. Primary sources is information that is filtered by interpretation or editing. And then the secondary sources is information that is not directly from the sources, information that has been compiled, filtered, edited, or interpreted in some way. And you will use secondary sources, which are article, book, and websites. Next. Next, Andy. You should note that in the presentation should conduct a primary sources, then secondary sources to make your presentation trusted. Next, Andy. Second one is organizational models for presentations. Collect your material into a series of main points by using an organizational model. Next. There are some organizational model for your presentation. The first is chronological pattern. Chronological always refers to time. And then spatial pattern. The information is organized based on a place or space that the audience can imagine or decode easily. Next is topical patterns, part of the whole pattern, informational and persuasive presentations. Used most often in informational and persuasive presentation. Many subjects will have main points that naturally divide into types of, kinds of, sort of, or categories of. Or other subjects naturally divide into part of the whole. However, you will want to keep your category simple, clear, distinct, and at 5 or fewer. Next. Cause or effect pattern. In the specific purpose, mention word, cause, origins, roots of, foundations, basis, grounds, or it is a causal order. And then effect, results, outcomes, consequences. This is the example of effect patterns. The next is problem solution patterns, informational and persuasive presentations. It's most often used in persuasive presentations, the principle behind problem solution pattern is that if we explain to an audience a problem, you should not leave them hanging without solution. Next. The third is outlining your presentation. To be successful in your presentation, you will need two outlines. The first is a preparation outline and then a speaking outline. Next. As you can see on the slide, preparation outline is comprehensive outlines that include all of the information in your presentation. Our presentation outline will consist of the content of what the audience will see and hear. Next. The next is speaking outline. Speaking outline contains notes to guide you and is usually not shared with your audience. It will summarize the full preparation outline down to more usable notes. You should create a set of abbreviated notes for the actual delivery. Your organizational model will help determine how you will structure your presentation outline. However, most if not all the organization model will align with this structure. The first is attention statement. Attention statement is an engaging or interesting statement that will cause your audience to sit up and take notice. Then introduction. Introduction is setting out your general idea statement, link, and giving the audience an idea of what to expect. Next is body. Body is the section contains your research, main points, and other relevant information. It will follow your organizational pattern. Then, conclusion. Reiterating your idea statement and or includes a call to action what you want the audience to do or think about following your presentation. Next is residual message. This is an optional section, but a powerful one. It is the final message you want the audience to remember. You can use your presentation outline as a starting point to present your speaking outline. Next. So yeah, you can using example and scenario. Presenters will often use example and scenario to help illustrate their message. And then a word about storytelling. Storytelling can be an effective way to convey your message to your audience. Next. So transition. Transition are word, phrases, or visual devices that help the audience follow the speaker's ideas, connect to the main points to each other, and see the relationships you have created in the information you are presenting. Transition can serve different roles as you help create the glue that will connect your points together in a way the audience can easily follow. Next. The first is internal summarize, a type of connective transition that emphasizes what has come before and remind the audience of what has been covered. The example is I have said, as we haven't seen, and etc. The next is internal preface, a type of connective that emphasizes what is coming up next in the speech and what to expect with regard to the contents. For the example, if we look ahead to, next we'll examine, now we can focus our attention on, and etc. The next is signpost, a type of connective transition that emphasizes physical movement through the speech content and lets the audience know exactly where they are. The example are stop and consider. We can now address, next I'd like to explain, and etc. Next. And then time. Time is focuses on the chronological aspect of your speech order. particularly useful and a speech utilizing a story. This transition can illustrate for the audience progression of time. The example like before, earlier, immediately, in the meantime, and etc. The next, compare and contrast, draws a parallel or distinction between two ideas, concept, or example. The example is similarly, just as we have seen, in the same vein, and etc. Next, cause and effect of result illustrates a relationship between two ideas, concepts, or examples and may focus on the outcome or result. Like example, as a result, because, consequently, for this purpose, and etc. Then next, the next is example. Illustrated a connection between a point and an example, and then you can see, in fact, as we can see, after all, even, for example, and etc. Then place. Place refers to a location often in a spatially organized speech of one point of emphasis to another. Again, visual aid for well when discussing physical location with an audience. Next is clarification. A clarification transition restates or further develops a main idea or point. It can also serve as a signal to a key point. Next. The last is concession. Concession indicates knowledge of a contrary information. It can address a perception the audience may hold and allow for clarification. And then the example are, we can see that while, although it is true that, granted that, while it may appear that, naturally, of course, and etc. Next. Okay, I think that's all about our presentation today. So I hope you can get many knowledge after this presentation. Thank you.
All right, I think that is all the presentation from both of our group. If one of you have a question or something to say, please unmute your speaker and say something.
Hello.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Satya.
All right. My question is for the second group, so especially for Anggi. So I have a question. Are those you say you have said in your presentation that you studied the references, right?
Yes.
So are those references become the important thing in the presentation? Those are important. Why? And can we unstate the references from your slide?
All right. That
You
is
get
all.
my point?
Yes. Yes, I will
All right.
answer your question, Satya. So, as what I mentioned before, actually all of the strategies or elements of how speakers say something or presenting something is important, especially in referencing. I think it is quite impossible for us. If it is from our own study, we also need to put the reference or citation of our reference, something like that. So it is important, especially in us in educational field. It is important to state the reference of our topic that we delivered to appreciate or something, so we cannot be stated as doing plagiarism or something like that. So actually stating reference is necessary to be done to the speaker in delivering or presenting the certain topics. That is my answer.
Well, Angie, thank you so much. It's very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Maybe the other participants of this presentation want to ask or say something?
Can I ask question?
I think it is clear enough for me.
All right. Okay, I think, okay, so as the closing statement, I am as the last group and also from our group presentation today, would like to say thank you so much for joining our presentation of today, and I hope what we said to you all is useful for all of us. And I think this is our end of today's presentation. Thank you so much, everyone. See you. You may leave.